All right, these are going to be the top 6 ways that parents can support their Winton Woods scholars. And a lot of this advice will work whether we're in the building or online. Now, first thing is to set up a routine and a schedule. That's super important. Then one of the key components of that would be having a bedtime and a wake up time and having that fairly routine. We discovered during the extended school closing in 2020 that a lot of students were staying up until 2 or 3 in the morning and then waking up at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And that's just not good for them at this stage in their lives. The other thing that's not good for them at this stage in their lives is not bathing and not taking care of personal hygiene. Even if they are by themselves all day, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't take care of themselves. So please encourage your child to bathe and brush their teeth and get ready for the day because it's a mental thing as much as it is a physical thing. Breakfast is still the most important meal of the day. That didn't change from when you were a kid. Uh, Got to fill the fuel tank for the day so then they can focus because you're not yourself when you're hungry. The other thing that we learned from the online learning from 2020 and in the spring of 2020 was that many of the kids were lost without a schedule. And so we've made that modification for this school year that basically they will be doing a schedule that's very similar to a regular school day, 7 classes of 45 minutes with 5 minutes in between the classes and some time for lunch. We're hoping that that will help the kids have as regular a school day as they can in this online experience. Tip number 2 is to set up a designated workspace. Now, the designated workspace does not need to be this clean and neat, but it should be a place where they can focus. Um, you know where that would be best in your place. One of the things that we want to get rid of, though, is that cell phone. So I should have put a red circle around that cell phone and put an X through it because cell phones tend to be a distraction, and not just cell phones, but TVs and maybe even the refrigerator. But having a place where they can focus and they're distraction free would be very, very, very beneficial. And then, believe it or not, even though most of this learning will be happening online, at least for the first part of the year, they still need school supplies like paper and pencils and folders. Um, get those taken care of, and then they can have a spot at this workspace. So because the teachers will be having them do things with paper and pencils, um, and then they'll show their work to the computer, take screenshots, that kind of stuff, or take use the camera on the computer to take shots to turn in their work. So please don't think that everything is going to be digital. Number 3, set up clear expectations and consequences. Um, I'm showing this picture because I think I've had some parents over the years that think that, well, I'm helping my kids so much, it's like I'm going through middle school again. I already went through middle school. We want you to know that the teachers do not expect you to reteach everything that we're teaching them during the day. We understand it's been years since you've taken the 8th grade level math or 7th grade social studies, and maybe you're a little rusty on those things. If you're passionate about a subject, you want to share that passion with your child, that's wonderful. But we don't want this to be the look on your face when your kid says, I don't get it. I don't get my homework. Um, we'll cover what to do with that in the next tip. Okay. But one of the things you can do as a parent is set very clear expectations. Is it that straight A's are the expectation? Is it that A's, B's, and C's are? Whatever those expectations are, please make sure your child understands them and they understand the deadline. Whether the deadline is the midterm, it needs to be at this point, or I need to do something to help you out, or is it at the end of the quarter? You know your child and how much wiggle room you can give them. Um, the other part of that is to make sure very, very clearly what the expectations will be and what the consequences will be if they do not meet those expectations. We need you to, okay, step number 4, or tip number 4 is to be okay with productive struggle. There are times when your child will be frustrated, will be unsure what to do, and may even fail an activity. Failure is a chance to learn. So failure in my mind stands for first attempt in learning. So we want your child to trust the struggle, that if they persist, and they ask for help and for clarification, and they can form their questions uh, to the teachers, then they can get the guidance they need. Now, that does not mean that we're asking you to throw your child in the deep end and say, okay, swim or drown. Of course not. But there are protocols involved, there are steps involved. And the first step would be for you to tell your child, did you contact the teacher? Did you email the teacher? Did you ask in class, in digital class? That's got to be the first step. Now, if after that that doesn't clarify things and there's still the struggle and you really do feel like your child gave their best effort, then perhaps it's time to get in touch with the teacher. And then if that doesn't clarify, then perhaps it is time to reach out to an administrator. So yes, of course, the parents, we want you to call when necessary, but we also want to help you help develop your child's agency. And then the other thing, tip number 6, is encourage movement. The teachers will be building in movement as much as they can in their classes because they know that 6 minutes, or I'm sorry, 7 bells a day sitting in front of a computer would be really, really tough. And so there will be some built in movement, but we also want you to encourage your child to exercise, to go for walks, to do exercise videos if that's the case, to do something, to dance, whatever works. Get them moving because sitting all day is really rough. Yeah, that was intentional. All right. So we're hoping that these tips will be helpful so that this is a good and positive and productive year for you and your child. We're looking forward to this challenge. Now, here's the slide that has the resources that I mentioned, but those links are not clickable. So you would need to copy, or you need to type in the link, the bit.ly link at the top, this one right up here, in order to get to the clickable links. All right, and then of course, as I tell my students, they need to give the photo credits for their slides. So with all that being said, we look forward to working with you and having a great year.